Hello, gorgeous souls. How are you today? Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. How the heck is everybody doing today? I am going to give it just a minute. It is Thursday, and we are in the 4th day of March. Congratulations, you made it. Oh, I'm looking sideways. Hello, hello. For everybody who's joining, drop me a hi, how are you in the comments if you're live. If you watch this video, then drop me a hashtag replay and let me know that you were watching, just so I can say hi back and thanks for joining and listening for a little while. Before I start, hey everybody, hi guys. And I apologize, I can't twist my head sideways enough to read everything, but I can see that people are saying hi, so hi everybody. Before we start, if I can't read, like you can see my head. Oh, am I sideways? Okay, cool, good to know. Let's try this. How's that? I thought it would be an easier picture the other way, but we can do it this way. There we go. Hi guys. Before we get started, I can see your comments right now, but if I don't see them while I'm talking, please don't be offended. Sometimes my camera just suddenly doesn't show them anymore. So hoping that it works this time and I can see everybody and talk to you as we're going. But if not, I'll respond to everybody when we're done. I am really happy to be here with you for day 1 of the Anxiety to Confidence series. I'm really excited about this because I've planned this for a little while. It's something that I'm really super passionate about, and I'm trying not to let you all drop so that I can actually, there we go, get into the frame. So the title of today's video is How Spiritual Women Create Confidence and Personal Power. And this is not me trying to imply that any guys out there don't have or need confidence or personal power, or that women who do not consider themselves spiritual do not have or need confidence or personal power. This is a sharing of what I've learned about myself and how I attract clients that tend to mirror my own experience. So no offense to anyone who does not identify as a spiritual woman out there, okay? Just want to put that out there before we get started. And I guess I should also introduce myself. My name is Terry Milroy. I am a confidence and empowerment coach for women, and I help restore self-love and self-worth to women who have suffered in narcissistic or other abusive relationships. So this is, again, a very personal journey for me, and so I'm really happy to be able to share it with you. If you didn't catch the pre-launch video on Tuesday, well, it was pretty good, so you could go back and watch it. But let me give you a brief rundown of how I got to this place, because how this series came about is kind of a revelation for me, and I hope that it will explain to you why what I do is not only important, but important to me personally. So I was working with a client a few weeks ago, and she said something to me in the course of a discussion that made me understand something she had never explicitly stated before. And that was that she had been in a long-term relationship with a narcissist, and that a lot of what we were discussing in terms of things she was dealing with had appeared in her life during that period of that, the period of that relationship. And that had caused a lot of insecurities in her life, a lot of feelings of lack of worth, lack of confidence. And because I myself have been the target of 2 different narcissists in my life, my mother and my ex-husband, that understanding triggered something in me, because very rarely have any of my clients explicitly stated that they were in a narcissistic relationship. And I know, and understand some of the problems that come from that type of relationship and that type of mental and emotional cruelty. I myself have experienced incredible self-criticism, people pleasing with my family and in personal relationships, anxiety so bad I could not sleep for days at a time. a deep fear of failure and of being judged, an inability to make decisions, second guessing myself all the time because what if something that I decided was either wrong or upset someone else? And because I've gone through all of those things, that was why I coach women on confidence and personal power, because I recovered from those type of emotions not once but twice. And having come out of it the second time, I never wanted myself to ever go there again, but I never wanted to see someone else there either. What I hadn't connected with, though, until this conversation with a client a couple of weeks ago, and I did verify this, I went back through client notes and I actually reached out to some of my former clients and verified, is that most of the women that I've worked with have also been in narcissistic relationships. And some of those were parents, some of those were intimate partners, but almost every single one of the women that I've worked with, not all, but most, have share the same connection. And so I began to wonder a little bit. And then I also started thinking about the women that I work with, and I tend to attract to myself as clients women who share another characteristic with me, and that is that they are either empaths or healers, highly sensitive or deeply spiritual women. And so I began to wonder if there was a reason that so many women who identify as empaths, healers, highly sensitive, deeply spiritual were also the targets of narcissists. And that's what started this whole exploration and this whole video series. And I explained what I found in terms of why that connection seems to exist in Tuesday's video. So if you haven't seen it, go back and watch the IGTV video from Tuesday. But let me be clear that you can be dealing with all of the symptoms that I've suffered with and that my clients have suffered with and not have been in a narcissistic relationship. It is not a requirement to have been with a narcissist to lack confidence, to feel like your personal power has been taken away from you. None of that is required. There are many types of mental and emotional abuse and many types of trauma that you can suffer in life that lead to the same place. So it's not required that you have that experience. It's just interesting, and I felt like it was worth talking about that so many of my clients have that same experience. So let's talk about what the problems are when you've experienced this type of abuse, regardless of where it comes from. And one of the first things that I see with my clients is that they have these deep feelings of worthlessness. And it makes me so sad because I remember being in that deep black pit. I remember not knowing how I was going to be able to even put myself out there for something because I was so convinced that I was not a worthy person, that what I had to offer had no value, that I might never be truly loved because, first of all, one of the first people who was supposed to love me, really didn't in the way that I deserved to be loved. But because I was in such a place that I felt like, there's something missing inside of me. There's a tendency to just empty out what you think you're worth inside because you don't want to be disappointed, because you've been told so long that you don't have value. So I understand the feelings that this brings up, and I experienced all of them. So I have a deep empathy for clients and friends who have had the same experience. But another key factor that I see in these clients and in myself once upon a time is this urge to people please all the time. I remember being at home and not being able to, I was a mess. Let's just say that. I disappointed my children so many times when they were kids, when they were young especially, because my ex would make them promises and then back out because it didn't suit him and what he wanted. And I didn't have the guts to either call him out on it or do it without his approval. And I regret that more than I can possibly say. I had a lot of time to make up with my kids, a lot of experience to make up with my kids when I finally got out from under that, because even though I understand logically right now that what was going on was not really my fault, or at least I didn't know that I had any control over it. It hurt people, and it hurt my children especially. And maybe that sounds familiar to you. But the tendency to people please also leads to a secondary thing, and that is I was constantly putting aside my own needs, wants, and desires. I was not important, okay? In my own life, I had no value. And part of it was not just the narcissistic relationships. I have to admit this. Part of it is that and I think a lot of women my age and even younger, was raised in this good girl mentality thing. You have to be sweet, you have to be kind, you have to always be thinking about others first and putting yourself last, and never ever doing for yourself if you can do for someone else. And that, because I mean, we were told that's what good girls do, right? And let's be just absolutely honest. Good girls take care of themselves first, okay? Let's just put that old adage to rest. Good girls put themselves first, because if you don't put yourself first, you know what happens? You're worthless to anybody else, because you don't have any energy or any ambition or anything else to give other people. It's just like when you're on the airplane and, you know, the flight attendant or the video tells you, be sure to put your own oxygen mask on before trying to help others. That's what you have to do. And if any of you out there are putting other people first and never taking care of yourself, let me just say right now, you have to take care of yourself, okay? Self first. So no more sacrificial lamb shit. We're done with that, okay? But possibly the most destructive of all of the things that I experienced, and that my clients seem to experience a lot in terms of what comes out of relating with a narcissist, is the tendency to be self-critical. And I've worked with women who have literally spent days obsessing over how to apologize for something that they didn't do wrong, who went without sleep, who cried in the middle of the night, who are tearing themselves up in knots because they think someone is mad at them because in the middle of a conversation or in the middle of some activity, somebody suddenly had to leave or hung up the phone or whatever. And they think that this person is angry with them because they've been indoctrinated into this kind of idea. And no one's mad at them. They spend days and days and days agonizing over this, but the person's not mad. Okay, they had to hang up. Life happens. People, believe it or not, think more about themselves than they do about others most of the time. And so people torture themselves because they are so willing to believe that they are the ones who are at fault or have made a mistake, even when there's no evidence to prove that. I've had clients think that a new romantic interest canceled plans because they've said or done something offensive, and they've agonized over what it was, only to find out that, somebody's grandfather died, or, their ex-wife called and invited them over, or whatever. It has nothing to do with them personally. And I have done this one, and I've had a couple of clients who have done this. Work all day. There's 10 different places to stop on the way home, and you forget one. You get home, and it's not critical, okay? It's not a life or death situation. But what you're going to do is you're going to go out late and go look for the thing that you forgot, even though most of the stores are closed, because you feel so incredibly responsible and guilty for forgetting something. And you're beating yourself up in your head to such an extent that you have to go try to make it right in order to not be quite as miserable as you are otherwise. And that's just not just soul sucking. It is just absolutely emotionally draining and degrading to a point that I can't even explain. You lose hours of sleep. It has to be a negative impact on your health. I mean, I feel really lucky that my years in that situation have not had a more negative impact on my health than it actually has. And as you can imagine, all of these behaviors create anxiety. They create more fear of failure, fear of being judged, which I mentioned earlier. So you might wonder, after all of that self-confession, how did I get where I am? And how, if I suffered from all of this, why am I now in the position that I am? And I'm glad that you asked. After my ex and I separated, I started a self-development journey of my own. I'd already kind of discovered from healing from my narcissist mother some of the basic tools that I started with in order to heal after my separation. But the separation created a new level of work because for some reason I was more detached from my mother and my relationship with her than I was from my relationship with my ex. And I knew that I wanted to be a better mother to my kids, and I wanted to be in a healthy relationship and be whole and able to participate well in a new relationship. Partly for me, but partly also for my children because they'd never witnessed a healthy relationship before. So I set out to make myself all better. And the first thing I discovered in my healing journey was not actually working with a coach, because at the time I didn't even know that coaching existed as a thing. I didn't find that until nearly the end of my journey that I was going through. But what I did discover was the deep connection of the mind, body, and spirit. And so what I found was that any form of physical exercise done regularly helped me to deal with some of those other mental and emotional aspects better. So that I was in a good frame of mind after exercising to be able to tackle the hard things, to be able to deal with the things that I was afraid of, to be free of the anxiety for a little while, because the physical exercise also helped burn off some of those stress hormones, right? And so it was also an added benefit that it helped me sleep, because part of at least my situation with the self-criticism and the anxiety was that I often didn't sleep well. So physical activity not only helped quiet my mind, but it calmed me in a way that allowed me to sleep. And then as I started feeling physically better, I was willing to explore other things that would help with my mental state. And I learned some great self-hypnosis and breathing techniques, and that further calmed my anxiety. That helped me to way lower my stress levels. And then from there, I learned how to stop my critical thoughts. I learned a lot of cool tricks to end my destructive thoughts and patterns. And in fact, I'm going to demonstrate a couple of those in the next video in the series on Tuesday. I learned how to love myself and finally and forever understand that what others thought or said about me was not nearly as important as what I think or say about me. They have a perspective and they are entitled to their perspective, but their perspective does not define who I am. It is only their viewpoint from their life experience and their interactions, very limited, most of them, with me. So I then found neuroscience. Neuroscience just absolutely lit me up and taught me how to replace all those negative thoughts and images in my head and replace them with things that inspired me and made me happy. And then I finally rediscovered the law of attraction, because I had discovered it previously in the book The Secret. Some of you may know the famous book. And the law of attraction, as it's portrayed in The Secret, is not 100% accurate. And so I actually dug deep and learned the actual techniques and the actual law that is the law of attraction, and discovered that I could bring into my life something that I really wanted, that was meaningful to me, and do it partly, through manifesting. And that just absolutely was so cool for me. I had never realized that I had that kind of ability, and that changed me a lot. Now, I need to be 100% clear that this process took me nearly 6 years. I discovered a coach. I discovered coaching and hired my first coach just at the end of that 6-year period. And she kind of helped me take everything that I taught myself and tie it up into a nice little bow and make it all make sense to me as to why things had worked, and gave me a few more ideas as to how to arrange things and do things so that they were more effective more quickly. But I really loved it. And as soon as I felt healed and finished coaching with her, I enrolled in coach certification. I decided I'd found what I was meant to do, because I loved the idea of being able to help other people. I was feeling really good about myself. I was happy. I was healthy mentally and physically. And I just felt really good about my ability to go out and do things to help other people. So I was going to become a coach. And what I discovered, to my deep chagrin, as I became a coach, is that all the things that it took me 6 years to learn, I could actually teach someone else, and could have done with some additional help for myself, in a matter of months rather than more than half a decade. But I was happy to realize that a lot of the steps that I had taken were actually proven, that the things that I had discovered for myself were things that actually truly worked for lots of different people. And so I decided to use what I had taught myself as the way I would help other people. It became the way I transform clients. And so I have had the privilege of using that with a lot of people. And I apologize, you can hear the steps and the dog and the whole thing in the background, but there you go. So I've helped people like Samantha, who repaired her relationship with her daughter and her husband after learning to eliminate that persistent anxiety that kept her just absolutely in rock bottom, trying to control everything mode, because she was so afraid of what was going on that she couldn't even relax or be able to have a healthy relationship with even her closest family. And then there was Maria, who found her soulmate after overcoming people-pleasing, because she'd been in a relationship where the only way to make her partner happy was to people-please. And so when that relationship ended, she decided that that was what she was supposed to do. And that actually wound up destroying her concurrent relationships, until she finally learned to not people-please and to have healthy boundaries that actually created better communication and respect between she and her partner. And then there was Sarah, who also created healthy boundaries, but did hers to support her self-care, because she was in a position where her family was basically using and abusing her as their go-to person for everything that they needed done. And she had no ability to make autonomous decisions or to feel like she had a say in whether she did or didn't do something. So she set healthy boundaries, and not only was able to stop doing the things that she didn't want to do, but she restored her relationship with her family, because even though she was still doing things for them previously, she deeply resented them. And there was a lot of anger in her family relationships until she healed that. And then finally, there's Tanaya, who overcame her feel of failure and intense self-criticism to not only land a better paying job, but she actually was accepted to a very prestigious pre-med program at the university of her choice. So she, in one fell swoop, after overcoming her fear of failure, was able to find a job to support her while she went to college and to get into the pre-med program that she'd always dreamed of. Hey, good evening. How are you guys? So you see, it is possible. I was my clients once upon a time, so I know it's possible. I've done it twice. But a lot of other people have been able to make this transition from being stuck in these mental and emotional patterns into being healthy, happy, joyful people. And that's why I've chosen to do what I do. And I know what it means to be in that position, to never feel like you can say no, to always second guess yourself, to always undermine yourself in front of others or feel undermined by other people. So if any of this resonates with you, let me tell you that you and the people that I work with are the reason that I do my job. It's why I love coaching. It's why I have continued to coach for the last 3.5 years, because every time I help someone get past where I was, it just makes my heart feel full, because I think that giving people the freedom that I was able to find is the greatest gift that I myself can ever receive. So I want you to know that you are a beautiful, talented, amazing woman, period. No, but like I said earlier, nobody else's opinion of you, nobody else's thoughts about you matter. Your thoughts and your opinions of you are the only ones that matter, and you should know that you are amazing. Full stop. To help you get started, though, on a journey to freeing yourself, if you are someone who feels stuck like this, if you are someone with whom any of these stories has resonated, that maybe you're not in the relationship anymore, but you are dealing with the after effects of the relationship, some of these behaviors that I've mentioned, then to help you get out of those patterns, the next video is going to be Tuesday, March 9th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and it is going to be uncover your hidden strength and create confidence with 3 easy tricks. And those tricks are self-confidence and empowerment things that I taught myself and that I now teach all of my clients. So I'm going to be teaching them for free here on Instagram at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday. And then on Thursday of next week is the final video in the series. And I don't even remember what that one's called. What is that one called? Let me see. It is called How I Became a Better Mom and Businesswoman. That's it. Using the flame method. So on Thursday, we will be doing that one next week. But I hope you guys will tune in. I really am so excited to share all of this with people, because when I realized that my own history was intimately tied into that of the women that I've worked with so far, it was revealing to me, but it also, it made me happy in a strange way. Not that I'm glad that anybody suffers from that, but it gave me a direction to focus on that I hadn't focused before, and the ability to focus on people more like people like me who had suffered. So I hope that makes sense. And before I forget, I hope that you will like, comment, and share all of the training videos. So today, Tuesday, and next Thursday, because everyone who likes, comments, and shares will be entered in a drawing to win a free 60-minute coaching session with me. So like, comment, and share. And much love to you all. Thank you all for joining. I hope to see you on Tuesday. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.